Hello everybody, we have a lot to talk about, so I suggest that we get into the content straight away, because yesterday we had some movement, some very weird price action. This is BTC on the 1 hour, but actually I first want to take you to what happened yesterday. That I took a trade, updated you on Twitter. I also took another trade which I have not uploaded on Twitter yet. But this white line, you have probably seen it already a couple times in my screen, that is the VWAP. And just need to check real quick where we were yesterday. That was here. We had a SFP first of all of one of the levels, that was or this thick yellow line at 66,500, or an SFP of this 66k. And eventually, well, this wick here on Binance is very deep. On most of the other exchanges it is not as deep. It's actually a clear SFP of this 66k, so that could have been a nice trade. In fact, actually for most of the exchanges, this wick right here was the official SFP, and then we went higher. Well, at that time, once we had this wick, I was out, so I was not behind the charts. I did not take the trade. That's completely fine. And then we had New York open and we reclaimed VWAP. I got in on the back test of that, and I also update you here on Twitter, as you can see, 66,699, so that is right here. Then eventually we went slightly lower, and once we reclaimed VWAP again, that is when I moved the stop loss underneath this low right here, and eventually we rolled over again and I got stopped out. So that was the first loss that I took, as you also can see, 66,462. And I also updated you about the fact that we had that wick and one of the SFP trades played out. Other than that, we eventually then rolled over, went lower, and there was actually a golden pocket that I did not give you on the stream, and that was, and I quickly need to zoom this, oh actually sorry, it was the 78.6, because it was not so likely, and that was from this level right here, 65,777. We went lower first, reclaimed it, eventually dumped lower again, and then you can see we actually had a bounce. And for me, this was a little bit in the middle of nowhere, because if I zoom out, then we still had the two long trades that I gave you some time ago, and that was a long here from the golden pocket in combination with that SFP trade, right? That is this bigger low right here. That's approximately 64,800, and then the golden pocket at and around that level. Then we of course have one bigger golden pocket that is much deeper around the 63 area. So what I just showed you, this golden pocket, the 78.6, is measured from the high that we put in. So that is this one right here, until then of course this low, and then you have your golden pocket that did not give us a reaction at all. Then the 78.6 was the absolute last line in the sand. I longed from that 78.6 because on the 1 minute I saw a bounce, put the stop loss underneath a little bit further, because there was also another small level just underneath. Then eventually went lower, and yeah, it stopped me out once again, and then eventually we had a bounce off, a bounce to the upside. So yeah, that was pretty frustrating. I had better days. Also the price action was just very weird, because this last move up that we then had was way after New York close into the Asian session. And yeah, I cannot help by wondering that I might have missed the opportunity to get into a long swing trade. If that is the case, that will be a huge bummer. Then of course we need to adjust the plans. How can we still get into a long trade? So I'm keeping these two longs on, because yeah, the highs and lows have not changed. So that golden pocket from that SFP trade is still very much in play. Again, starts off from 64,700 to approximately 64K 700 to approximately 64K, and then the other one starts off from 63K, but we cross those bridges once we're there. This trade here, as taking out these highs right here and a back test of these lows, so therefore I drew it as a box, is for me still very much in play. As a matter of fact, if I also draw a fib retracement, then you can also see that the golden pocket is also lining up exactly with that level. Now there are a few ways how we can approach this. First, we're going to go higher in the next couple hours when New York opens, and we're going to take out these highs right here. and then eventually into the golden pocket, retesting, and then you see that we reverse, and then you enter the trade, stop loss above the local highs, and then you trade it to the downside. Your first target is going to be this low right here that we put in. Depending on the exchange where you're at, can change a little bit, but it's around 66,700. And after that, it could be two things: or you're aiming for this low, or what I would do intermediary is then a golden pocket. So that will be 66,300. So try to keep up here, try to follow me. Is that you have then multiple TPs. You could do this, or you say right away, I'm only aiming for the golden pocket, depending on how price reacts, and then lower. But the reason why I'm saying this is that if you only hit that golden pocket, then go back up, guess what you have? You have then of course your higher low, and then you reach higher, then of course you will most likely you're going to break this high right here. So that could be a trade. Okay, so again, trade number one here very locally could be backtest of the golden pocket, support of resistance area, lower, you're taking a profit, or here, or at that golden pocket that I just accidentally took out. And eventually you can aim for the lows. If we would go lower, you know the targets, then we have two more long trades here. If we bounce up and we are reclaiming this level, then of course this short is invalidated. So if we just keep on pumping, there is no retracer whatsoever, then you could do something like this, where we eventually are going to backtest these highs, and this is then your long trade at and around that 67, 68k, depending on how price forms. Really wait for a little bit, don't get in on the 1 minute, wait for a few 5 minutes or a few 15 minutes candles to form before you get into this level. And then once you enter the long here, your stop loss initially needs to go on here. It is a bit shitty, but because you're talking about 1.5%, that is kind of where I draw the line when it comes down to stop losses, but that could be an option. And then you ride it to the upside, and eventually if we are taking out this high or we're reaching it pretty close, then I would absolutely move my stop loss here to entry, so it's a risk-free trade. Yeah, and then of course once you're getting reaching that 69.5, I've already said it multiple times, it could be a very swift move, but taking out these highs right here, so be careful with that. So therefore I'm saying very vigilant. I am saying out loud that I'm wondering if I missed the long opportunity. It would be incredibly shit, but if it happens, then yeah, you just need to adjust your plans like we're doing right now. Then you missed the long here that was again kind of in the middle of nowhere, because I had nothing at that exact price area where we bounced. I have checked this 2-3 times. The only thing that I eventually saw later on in the order books that yes, long orders came in, but there was not a crucial level. So that's a little bit of a bummer. Last but not least, also quickly want to look here at market Cipher B, and then you can also see that we did not have a bullish divergence on the 1 hour. We definitely didn't have it on the 4 hour. Here of course price is much lower, so no, this is no confirmed bullish divergence on the 4 hour. The daily of course had that red dot printed, and we've seen the downwards price action. So this still needs some time for us to start flipping, but you can see that the first sign is there. If we have 2 or 3 more green days, yeah, then of course we have printing a green dot, and then the low was absolutely in. The only thing was that once we reached the bottom, that on the lower time frames there was a bullish divergence. So here you can see, at least I hope you can see it, that price is making a lower low, and that the momentum wave is making a higher low. Yes, money flow was still coming out, so that was a little bit tricky. On the 12 minutes, the exact same. You can see here momentum waves are going higher, price is going lower, absolute confirmed bullish divergence. Doesn't really matter which time frame I'm taking. Everything under the 30 minute showed you that bullish divergence, but the bigger time frames saying that we might still see some downwards price action. So yeah, I think everything going to stand and fall in the next couple days. Regarding like if this is really now the higher low or the bottom, and we missed it, or are we going to see another move down? It really depends on the level that we are going to reach here, and eventually if we are getting something like a retrace, how this is going to react. I will 100% update you on Twitter, and eventually if we are going to crash down, thank you, and then we have another chance to go in lower, and then of course also I will update you. So it's going to be a little bit technical. We need to be very I'm very confident that once we have that move to the upside, then a new all-time high is really within a day or maybe even less, and then you're just gonna move higher, and it is so hard to get into the trade. Also something I have said already multiple times. So everything is super choppy, and the levels are absolutely not being respected lately. It's extremely frustrating. So I try to navigate you through these waters as good as I can. If you like these kinds of updates, then guys, please do me a favor by liking, subscribing, clicking on bell, clicking all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment, share this video with your friends if you think this is useful, and see you guys very soon again in the next one. Bye bye.